Dr. Susan Kingsley-Rowe, as you will find, was raised in England, but since then, of course, has traveled the globe sharing her many gifts. And she is and I can personally attest to the fact she's a personally very sharing person. She has the a gift of, as it says in the extra sheet that was put with your programs, because I didn't have all of the material when the original programs went to press. So I refer you to that sheet for everything, then I won't have to repeat it for you. But I think it's important that she also does readings, clairvoyant, and that sort of thing, and you may want to consult with her on that in the next 3 days here. So if you want to keep that in mind, please do so. She has been in touch with the ascended beings of light, as the program sheet says, all her life, and has been sharing these things on radio, television, and in personal appearances all over the globe, and I mean all over the globe. So it's with great pleasure that today I introduce to you Dr. Susan Kingsley-Rowe. Will you welcome her also, please?
Hello. Thank you so much for that welcome. It's lovely to be back again.
Can you hear her? No. Okay, we got it.
Can you hear me now? No. Oh. Ta-da. Okay. I'm here. Thank you all so much for that welcome. And thank you, Dean, very, very much for asking me back again. It's a delight to be here, and I've met many of you. While I've been here, I struggled through the snow on Wednesday and got here early Thursday. And since then, I've had great pleasure in meeting many of you and finding out what you do and sharing love and sharing your experiences. And I'm here to talk more about the acceleration of planetary change. There's a tremendous amount of energy coming into this world now, our little planet. And despite what people say, we're not going to have a third world war. We're not going to have any more disasters. I've been told this, and I've been shown the future, as several of you here have been. And I know that when we talked about this and shared it, it's really a time of great joy and hope. So there's a lot to look forward to. And we've all got to take our responsibilities, stand in our place, and really go with the flow and learn how to be there for each other. People talk about being there with love and caring, and this is what's so important. And also, it's a good thing to be there for somebody who needs you in that special way. Since I've been very small, I've gradually been aware of beautiful beings who've come to me. I've actually been able to see them, which has been quite something. I haven't gone vastly public with this. About 10 years ago, I did 2 radio shows in one day in Boulder and in Denver. And I actually became public and told them that I was just a messenger down here, as all of you are. You all have that special ingredients inside you, that love and that caring for reaching out and sharing with other people and giving them hope and healing when they need it. It's not special to one individual. Maybe somebody's just had it many, many times in different incarnations, and they use it immediately, and they're able to do it without too much fuss, and they know, and they can tap right into it. But we can all do it. We all have that healing. and that spirit of love and sharing in us. And now is the time. Now is the time because, 20 years ago when I was talking to different people and through different medias, it was a different situation. There was a restraining order. There was a sort of stranglehold, as you probably really remember very well. And now it's so much easier because books have been written and published, and people are coming out of the woodwork just like this. We've been waiting for, how should I say it? About 75% of the world have had to be aware that there are an enormous amount of beautiful divine beings here on earth ready to assist us. And the indigenous people in Australia and Africa and different parts of the third world, of course, have always been aware because they've lived next to nature. They're at peace in their heart. They respect the animals. They respect the land. They respect the whole world that we've grown up in. And so they have a large majority of that 75%. But the exciting thing is that we've been waiting for a lot of people here in our first world, if you like to call it, more educated, more computer-wise. We've been waiting for them to actually click. And through all the wars and through all the tribulations, they've finally done that because they're ready now to swap the hatred and the fear for hope and joy. And this is what we're all about. This is what the message is. There'll be a workshop later on where I hope I will be able to teach people how to overcome fear. And this is going to be quite interesting because it's something that we all carry inside us and we don't actually know about it. Sometimes it's wrapped up as guilt, sometimes it's wrapped up as different things that are happening with the family, different things with relations and so on. But it's very, very wonderful when that burden is lifted from your whole being. And you find you'll shine. It'll be really special. And I wanted to tell you about a group of light beings, divine beings, that have been here for thousands of years. This has been in print now by a lovely man called James Twyman, who wrote The Emissaries of Light, and he explained all this in an extraordinary story. He was of English origin and came here and lived in America, I think. And I've met him, and he's a friend of mine. And he calls himself a peace troubadour, and he plays his music, and he sings the most wonderful songs, and all the different religions that we have down here are joined together through his singing, and he tells stories. But the most important thing that happened in his book, when you read it, it's called The Emissary of Light, is he was brought in a special way from England and from America across to Bosnia, where there was this incredible war going on. It's stopped now, luckily. But the Croatians and the Bosnians and so everybody were having the most difficult time. There was so much hate, the Muslims, fear. And he was led to these group of people. There was a time when it was very, very frightening. He was under fire, and they had to travel at night, and they had to travel in buses, and it was searched by police, and he didn't have the right passport and things like that. But to cut a long story short, he got to the place, which was far away, but it was right in the middle of the bombing zone, the main bombardment center between the two opposing forces. And there were divine beings sitting round a wheel within an oval, or I beg your pardon, a big round house. And they were spending 12 hours in meditation. And they've been there for 10 years. And they held the light for this planet. That's an incredible, incredible thought. They translated by their meditation and by that very light that came from their hearts, that was centered up to the heavens, they translated the fear from that area, from that war area, into hope and joy. Mostly hope, first of all. They needed to translate the fear into hope. And it was James's time. He was brought there. They just found him in a special way. They're all aware of us. I mean, somebody was talking last night about the satellite, and that's truly fascinating. They can look at us from 22,000 feet or 22,000 miles. It doesn't matter. They know exactly where we are. And they found James, but they don't need to use satellites. They found James, and they brought him to that area, and he was taught different things, similar to what I've been taught. There are many of us, many messengers around the world that have this knowledge given to them. And he had it given when he was a child, and it was refreshed by these great beings. And you know, the extraordinary thing is that when he had finished his training, he went back again to try and find these emissaries of light, these 12 beings who were literally human. You could touch them and talk with them, and he had a teacher, a master who was there, who was teaching him the finer points. They disappeared. And you ask, well, how did they disappear? And they ascended, and it is quite possible for all of us, through the I Am presence, through knowing your higher selves, to talk to God, to talk to the Creator, to talk to higher beings, and ask, if you do enough prayers and you cleanse yourself with a violet flame, if you actually think good thoughts and help other people, it's quite possible to go poof and to fill every cell full of light. You actually tingle, and if anybody's watching, they see incredible light coming from your whole body. You're a ball of light, first of all, and then you just disappear. It's like you blink out. It's quite beautiful. And this has happened to friends of mine who are no longer here. I learned this when I was quite young. There was a beautiful lady called Annalise Scarron who wrote many books. One of them was called Climbing the Mountaintop. She used to live at Mount Shasta, which is a very special place in California. There are some special areas in this world. I'm sure the last lady, I think she was talking about vortexes, something like this. There are...
Excuse me, Susan, people are having a hard time hearing. Can
I'm
you
so
use that
sorry, yeah.
and hold it a little bit
Yes,
closer?
yes, thank you. Maybe it's gone here. There are 64 vortexes in this world. Can you hear now? It's okay? Can you hear at the back? Can you hear at the back? Can you hear at the back? I think maybe so. No, is that better now? Good. 64 vortexes around the world, and they are very, very special areas where these light beings come in. I've written about, I beg your pardon, I've written about them in my book, and there's a table at the back with meditation tapes and music and these little books as well. And there's another book. The first one is called Creation's Law, #1, and the second one is Creation's Law #2, and that's coming out this spring. It has an enormous amount of detail about everything that you need to know. And where these beings have been, these emissaries of light, have been special places where war has been paramount on this planet, and fear and doubt. And the vortexes are a place that they have visited as well, because they can actually make the whole process of ascension, and if you go to work, and if you go and stand in those vortexes, and if you sit nearby, and if you take yourself there, you can truly feel the energy. It's quite incredible. I have visited all the ones on the land, on our little planet. The ones on the sea I haven't visited, but I've had incredible experiences with divine beings that have come out of the sea in a plasma craft and that have appeared to me, and I'll share all that with you another time, because this is not really for too much of this, talking about this. But it's been amazing, and if you go to those, and there's a list of them all over the planet, you can feel the energy from these people that are here to help us. I'm not touching on any of the dark energy because I don't want to give that any energy, sorry, I'm using the word again, at all, because this is a talk about the light, about divine light, and how we can all reach that. How many of you meditate? Oh, good. Well, that's wonderful. Then you know how to reach a state of serenity within yourself. You know how to shut down the chaos of the world about us. And I'm sure you find that very, very helpful, as we all do. I wanted to talk to you about our beliefs being just a filter of what we actually understand. Some of us have been brought up in different families where they're very strong Catholic, or they're very strong Protestant or Methodist or something. And these belief systems can really cloud a lot of what we're trying to reach. And if you read some books, or if you just pray to God, you can literally lift the whole ceiling and go right the way up. It's very exciting. But maybe that's another talk altogether. We've been waiting for this moment. We've been waiting for the year 2000 or 2001 because there's an incredible exchange of love on the planet. There's divine guardians that are here for humanity. And if you meet a master or somebody you know is very, very aware of things, don't be frightened at all. Just go up and talk to them. If you see them in the shopping mall, or you can recognize them, a lot of you here can, because you can see them by their light. Just go up and catch their sleeve with your arm and let them know you're here, because it's so important for all of us to be aware of each other. With this 75% now that was being waited for, when friends of mine wrote a book called The Only Planet of Choice. And this was a book written by Phyllis Schlemmer, edited by a friend of mine called Mary Brooks, and it's an incredible book. It tells you all about the ancient beings that have continually visited the planet for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And it has been corroborated and backed up again by another wonderful book by Michael Cremo, who wrote Ancient Archaeology. That's truly incredible. All these things that have been held by the British Museum and the Smithsonian that are not meeting with the conventional archaeological reign of thought. They are matching up with the ascended masters who have appeared to these people And it's truly amazing. They've written about it in this book, and they've talked about it very, very earnestly, and you'll find that you can cross-reference it. A new era is arriving. I'm not very good at holding this thing. And we have a responsibility for ourselves and for each other. How many of you here actually care about yourselves? How many of you can say you love each other? Good. Wow, that's a lot. Well done. Because that's half the battle of being able to get through to this. If you care about yourself and know what you're going to do, it makes a lot of difference. You are then fit and ready to go out and talk to other people, to heal other people, and to help them, because you're adjusted and in balance yourself. This balance is so important because you are in tune with the universe, with the cosmos, and you can see what's actually happening. Your energy coming from those hands or coming from your being when you just stand next to each other does incredible things for that person you're trying to help. And if you talk with them, your voice and the resonance and the harmony within you will send them love. And when they receive that love, it goes through every cell of their body, and they're excited, and they're very touched by it. And in turn, they can go and do this to somebody else. And it's a lovely feeling when you awaken somebody and they know that there's nothing they've got to learn. They just have this inside themselves completely naturally. I am giving a workshop about the fear, I said that, and about the doubt, and there will be some other things. We'll talk about the vortexes, and we'll talk about some extraterrestrial visitations and so on and so forth. How many of you here are familiar with the I Am? Oh, that's wonderful. So you know about the violet flame and you know about the I Am presence. This is very, very important because it's the special teaching that Jesus gave to everybody that has been slightly lost over the thousands of years. And it's been brought back again by a wonderful being who we know as Saint Germain, and who at one time was the prophet Samuel, and was many other special beings here. This writing from these beautiful beings, the discourses are probably the most important, you know that. The discourses, if you can read those every day, those are just incredible. There's a question there. We'll have a moment, a question time at the end of the talk. I don't know, how many minutes do I have left? Thank you. We will have question time, and I'll answer all I can. I think sometimes just talking at people is not all that good. I think it's very nice to share different things. The whole idea of what we're going into now is the start of 1,000 years of peace. And this is going to be quite amazing for all of us. There's not going to be another world war, no matter what people say. It's not going to happen. There's divine intervention. That's very nice of you. There's divine intervention, and there's something very special happening on this planet. So there's no need for us to have this fear and to have this terror. There's a time that all of us can look forward to, and it's probably going to happen very fast in about 3 years' time. There's going to be massive television, there are going to be lots of books, and there's something that you can actually feel, almost tangible, that's happening. And this is going to accelerate, and beautiful things will be happening. Some people are talking about doom and gloom and all this sort of thing. But there is going to be an enormous planetary acceleration of awareness and goodness. There are enough of you, even in this audience here, knowing all about what's exactly going to happen. And there's nothing but joy and love. And very soon, we're going into a different type of electric medicine. We're going into a different type of light and sound vibrations, a healing with light and sound. We've had the cure for cancer for many, many years, and amazing things are going to happen. There's a feeling that this is not going to be as dark as everybody thought. Archaeological finds have proven that there have been amazing civilizations living here before us on the planet. And one of my books I've written have touched on that. Actually, it's about 400 pages. It's very, very interesting to see how different people have used the light energy. And this has become totally fascinating. I think I'm probably suffering from a bit of tiredness, and I apologize if this is going a little slowly. But the goal for divine revelation is to inspire peace. And if we can bring peace and harmony and love into our body, many, many things are going to change. And as I said, there is not going to be a different area. There's going to be no war, and we can change this by our thoughts. When I asked you how many of you meditate, this is so important, because by our thoughts we can change exactly what is happening. If we think very, very good thoughts of love and hope, we can use that energy to completely change what we feel inside. And it's exciting, very, very exciting. And this is something that's going to be with us all. The way of changing the energy is something that you learn by clearing your mind and then being able to look inside and feel the oneness that you're with all the time. When you've been part of that, you know exactly what's happening. The extraterrestrials, the divine ones, have been here with us always. And they sometimes are in disguise. Sometimes they're there sort of wearing long white robes, but normally they're just wearing jeans and a shirt, and they're doing wonderful things, and nobody knows who they are until you actually get to talk with them. And when you find them, they're very special. And you form a group, and I ask now if you can form different groups for meditation, if you can do groups of 9 or 12, because those are divine numbers, and get together and meditate and feel that energy and just ask for a certain planetary opening for peace and joy. You'll be rewarded so very wonderfully. It's quite amazing. Your very cells will actually resonate to all that, which is quite something. And the knowledge that you're going to change from one thing to another really, really helps everything. I don't know if any of you here have read any of, have you read James's book? Any of you here have read? Wasn't it really wonderful, the way he talked about that? He gave a meeting in California, and he's now teaching people to be peace troubadours and to actually go and talk and speak about this
And so if any of you feel like doing that, he's out over near Giant Rock. He was in New Hampshire at one time. But he's teaching people to do this, and it's very, very positive and a very great thing for this world. Different, several of us are setting up meditation centers. I'm going to set up one in Santa Fe, and I know you have one, several here in Denver, because it's such a large town, and there are going to be many others appearing all over. There are, maybe I should talk about the safe areas that have been spoken of in spiritual circles. There are 7 places that are really accelerating through beautiful divine power coming down through vortexes. And there are 3 areas on the east coast of America, down the Appalachian Mountains, starting with Virginia and going down to Carolina, that have really large places where people can go and live and form communities with all the full facilities. There's another one over in near Sedona, and there's another one high up in Montana, just near Coeur d'Alene as you go through between Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. And there's one in Santa Fe. How many have I done now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there's another one in the middle of America, not far from Kansas, over on the east of Kansas. Thank you. And there will be another one near here. They call it the Front Range. I don't hear the mountains there. But there's one just east of the Front Range that's starting. There's a beautiful Buddhist center, as you know, not far up near Fort Collins, and I think that's going to be a very, very enlightened area for everybody to go. Because you will need a time, there will come a time when you will feel a great need to be with like beings, and it's important that you all know each other, you exchange names and telephone numbers, and that you go off and you meet in these places and you study the different people who arrive and talk to you about different things. And it's a whole learning center, which is very positive for everybody. I'm going to try and have a place in Santa Fe. There are already small places that are doing meditation, and we want to join together to make one big one. And my idea is to have an underground room underneath the meditation center, because I think very strongly, I should say this to you, Relina, we're going to have strong winds rather than any Third World War. We're going to go through incredible climatic change, and this is what is very important for people to know. We're going to have incredible winds that are coming on the planet, and with the ice melting at the caps, we've only got a small, maybe 3.5 twist of the planet to go, the tilt, I should say, until we've reached the correct alignment. And during this time, we will be having enormous weather changes. There's different things that naughty people are doing to alter that and to make it more severe. And you're probably aware of that. Some books have been written by various scientists, and you can find that evidence. There's some excellent magazines called Nexus and Atlantis Rising. And those give you all this sort of information that you need to know about what's happening to do with the planet and to do with the weather, because we need to be aware of that. There was snow in Montreal in August, and in England we had snow in June last year. The extraordinary things. People are playing with the weather, and you might be aware that when people last played with the weather, they did this in Atlantean times. and they mucked up all the gas belts. And you know what happened? Things sank and rose and sank again, and there was a lot of disaster. There is, by the way, no place that you can say there was Atlantis. Atlantis was the most enormous continent that went from almost the east coast of England, the east coast of Spain, and went right the way across, I beg your pardon, the west coast of England and the west coast of Spain, to the east coast of the Americas. There was an incredible city, several cities, in this vast land, but it was a huge continent that sank gradually, bit by bit. They've now got this thing in the media, oh, we're looking for Atlantis. There was an incredible civilization under the ice cap in Antarctica. If you get maps, good maps, like I've got, you can find the remnants of these cities underneath. There's true evidence. Just like somebody was telling us last night that in the Dead Sea, in the Holy Land, they've found evidence of houses under the water. That area was not flooded, and the area in Antarctica was not flooded at the time. But they've been through enormous weather changes. This is truly evident if you bother to do enough research. And this is happening now. We've got the polar caps melting because we've got different things happening in the sky. There are different satellites there that are trained on our Earth, and Jean Manning has written an excellent book about this, and I recommend you to read it to be aware of what's actually happening, because they're trying to, the powers that be, that look after us really, the Illuminati that run our whole little world, they are trying to change what's happening inside. And it's all of us who are the messengers and the emissaries of light that are going to do something very, very positive to change that. And all the people out there, the 75%, the third world people, and the people who are also in the first world, we actually have a harder time realizing that there are beautiful beings amongst us than the people out there in the bush, because they've seen them and they've told their families, and it's been passed down from generation to generation, hasn't it? You're all aware of that. They've known about the singing lines in Australia. They know about Sirius, the dog star in Africa. We've had all this knowledge. In England, we've got this wonderful monument called Stonehenge, which is an incredible monument for astrophysics. We've known about this, but the memory of it has been lost. So we need to do a lot of research and understanding to get it back again. And I do recommend that you all do this, because it's very, very worthwhile. How many of you here remember your dreams? Good. And how many of you actually go out of body when you dream? That's nice. Because it's very important now, if you can learn that. There's something called mind control, which I know a lot of people here talk about and come to the podium and talk about that. But actually, to talk about learning to go out of body is very important, and to learn to direct your thoughts, and again, have no fear. You can go out at night and help many, many people. If you take a siesta in the afternoon, you can go out in the afternoon and help many, many people. One of the masters I started with used to do this in the afternoon. And they had great memory of going to Guatemala and helping the people at that time, because they'd had this enormous earthquake. This type of spiritual knowledge is going to be very important now, and will accelerate, because we're going through a time when there will be earth changes. There will be not any war, but there will be changes. When our climate is changing, we're having many fierce winds, we're having severe snow in places that never really had snow before, and we're going to have burning sun and drought in places that never had it before, because we're just getting near the flux of the tilt. How many of you know that we're in the year 2005 now? Well done. Because we're actually out in our calculations, and by the true Mayan calendar, we have lost somehow 4 years. So we're well into the time. It's 2005, it's not really 2001, as it says on all our calendars and diaries and desk diaries. We're right in there at the moment. So the time for any conflict or any disturbance happened, you probably noticed, about 8 years ago. There was this enormous war in Bosnia, and there were enormous wars happening in Africa. And then it all sort of started to clear up, just like it's doing now. They talk about different things happening on the Holy Rock and things like that, but that won't be allowed to happen. There are people here who pray and keep vigilance, and it will not be allowed to happen. This is their last try, their last-ditch try at trying to get something going for the darkness. And the darkness is really tearing its hair out and thinking, we've got very, very little left, very little time left. We've got to do something. And so this is why we're reading about different things. There are an enormous amount of people who are very disturbed, and there are people who are murdering and knifing and killing and stuff like that. But it's been going on our planet for a long time, because we've been the planet of choice. We've had the negative and the positive. It's like here. It's like this here on our planet. There is the positive and the negative, the light and the dark. And we all have to live through that. And I know most of you here at this conference know exactly how to do that. And in the workshop, I'll help you a little further if there's anything you'd like to know, or if you want to come up and talk to me later. We've got about 10 minutes left. Is there anybody who would like to ask any questions? Because I feel talking at you all the time is not all that important. Sometimes it's rather nice to just feel your own impression.
What about the UN that's trying to take over the world?
Would you like to go to the microphone and ask? There's a lady there already. Thank you.
Yes, at the beginning of your talk, you mentioned a James T. somebody.
Twyman, T-W-Y-M-A-N, and his book is called The Emissaries of Light, E-M-I-S-S-A-R-I-E-S of Light.
And then you started talking about the discourses. Do we all read the discourses?
The discourses of the I Am teachings, the Saint Germain teachings, the Saint Germain Foundation.
And how do we
There's one
connect?
here in Denver.
Well, I'm not in Denver.
I beg your pardon, where are you?
I'm in Tucson.
Wonderful.
So how do I
There's one there in
connect?
Tucson. Look it up in the telephone book. It's either being called the Saint Germain Foundation, or it's called the I Am Reading Room, or the I Am Sanctuary.
I'm reading
Hello.
the papers where it says that we're going to real bad right now in kind of the UN and one world government. That now they're going to put chips under our foreheads or whatever they're going to put them. And I was wondering just what's going to happen about that, because you say it's going to be so good, but everything else looks like it's going to be so bad.
You're right. They are trying to do that, and this is why there was a very interesting talk by Daryl Sims yesterday, who was talking about the implants that are being found, not only by those that have been taken on board ship by the dark extraterrestrials, but they're actually trying to do this, and it has been done for the last 3 years. I don't really want to dwell on that too much, but they have been doing this for quite a while, yes.
That's what I wanted to know, what's going to happen altogether, because I got a paper here yesterday that everything is so bad, that it's going to do so much, everything wrong to the people, and I just wonder if you see that through.
As I tried to tell you earlier, they are doing a lot of bad things because this is almost their last-ditch try. Probably in the next 2 years, they're going to try all out to throw everything at us. And this is inevitable because we're a planet of light and dark. Try not to worry too much, and...
Well, I hope for the best.
Yes! It won't happen to you. It won't happen to you at all. They have been implanting different people, and they've been doing this through different military operations, for ordinary civilian operations. If you have a bad car crash, a lot of the children who are very advanced now that are coming to this planet have been taken away for mind control, as many people have heard during this conference. But I ask you not to worry too much and to just look after your children and to keep them by their side. And if they do have any teachers at school, just make absolutely certain who the teachers are and what they're being taught. Is there anybody who'd like to ask anything else? I'd like to thank you all very, very... Oh, I beg your pardon.
I was wondering if you could be more specific in these locations. You said the 7 safe areas, but you seemed kind of vague.
I beg your pardon. There are 3 areas down the East Coast, from Virginia down to Carolina.
But where specifically?
I have maps I will show you.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
You have the maps.
These maps have been published. One of them has been published by a lady from the IAM, and another has been published by a gentleman who, for 30 years, has been the recipient of channeling from Gabriel, Archangel Gabriel. And now there's a big area.
And who is that gentleman that's receiving channeling?
I'm sorry, at the moment I can't remember his name. Isn't that awful?
Is that in your book?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
And I wanted to say there's one in Santa Fe, moving westward from the East Coast. There's one near Santa Fe in that area. They're triangles. They're drawn on the map as triangles. There's
So it
one...
covers a large area?
Yes.
Okay.
I beg your pardon. I probably didn't make that clear. And there's another developing here, including Denver, and going up north to, I think it's Red Lake near Fort Collins. There's another one over in Montana. They cover large areas from Spokane. And there's another one above Phoenix. And there's another one, I think I said, in the middle of America.
Okay.
Would I tell you more about it?
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hello.
I just want to thank you because I've worked on my inner self as well.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
I really, just believe as well as you do how important it is to trust in God, that we
Yes.
are all protected.
Yes, we are.
And I really appreciated your talk, huh?
Oh, thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much. Thank you, too.
Thank you for your lovely energy.
Thank you.
What I wanted to say also is I was taught by one of my masters when I travel, I try and drive all over America. I was taught by him to always bless the surrounding countryside and the animals, the dead animals that you might see on the road. Bless them and ask them to go to a higher place. As you're driving, you can do this and you're never bored, I promise you. A 1,000-mile drive is absolutely taken up the entire time, especially if it's daylight. You bless the crops in the field, you bless the rivers and the streams and the trees and all the things around you, and incredible things can happen to that countryside. You've just got to believe in your own strength inside yourself, the gift that you've been given of love, and have the courage to put it out there. And once you put it out several times, many people will come up and say, "Oh, you're shining." There's also another exercise I was given by one of my masters, to always say a special prayer, and that can produce a complete rainbow around you. The most important prayer that I use is, "I am filled with the white light of the beloved Jesus Christ. Only good will come to me, only good will go from me. I give thanks, I give thanks, I give thanks." Or another one that is very important, which comes from the I Am teaching, is, "I am the perfect presence, manifest, maintained and sustained in my mind and my body, in my work, in my home and my affairs." I'll tell you more about that in the workshop, because there are many different things you can say that truly bring the light in all the time, day after day, so that you're covered in this white ball of light or this gold ball of light, and there's complete and absolute protection for you. And it's been known for centuries, and it doesn't need to be hidden anymore. It's just there for you to tap into, and it works, I promise you. Any other questions? Well, I'd like to say thank you very much indeed for listening to me. I'm sorry I got a bit sort of vague in the middle. I still need a lot of sleep. I've faded a bit. But it's been a delight to be here. And if anybody would like to sign up for the workshop, I have a little table back there with tapes and with the book. And a new book is coming out this spring. There are 3 other books that I've been asked by the publisher to hold back again. There's another book I've written about the NASA cover-up for 54 years, and different things that are happening on different planets with the extraterrestrials. But until that becomes a little more, until the whole area frees up a little more, they thought it would wise that I didn't go into that area. Because since I was a child, I have been given many gifts, and so I can see what's happening in different places. And before this, I have been very outspoken, and it's probably not so good to be outspoken anymore. So thank you all very much indeed. And if you've got questions, I'll be back at my table. It's just to the left of the palm reader. Thank you. God bless you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Dr. Susan.